Hi guys, and welcome to the first watercolor painting I've done since October ended. I was so excited to work on some color and to pull out my paints. I missed them after so long away, and I was really excited to work on this specific piece since it's for my Kickstarter for Nocturne, which is running right now. It ends on Wednesday, so we only have a couple of days left, which is really exciting. I do want to give a huge thank you to everyone who has already pledged and supported it. It means the world to me because I'm really excited about this book that I'll be able to print thanks to you guys. But the piece that I'm working on today, it is part of some of the tiers where you can get some extra art items, including this piece and this print. So there are some open edition print tiers with this piece. There's also some limited edition print tiers that will have this, that has gold leaf, that's hand applied by me, so it's gonna be nice and sharp, and I'm really excited about that. And then there was the one top tier for the original painting, but that one's already been snapped up. So yeah, I will have a link right at the top of my description, so you can go check out the Kickstarter for my Nocturne book. It's going to be hardcover this year. It's going to have all of my Inktober pieces and a few extras in the book. So if you want to check that out, that is down below. And again, it ends on Wednesday, just another reminder. But let's dive in and talk about this painting. I decided to change things up a bit with this piece and work on some cold press paper. It was like a nice little treat for myself because hot press paper is really nice for doing the line work because it's very smooth, but it's not very pleasant when it comes to, not as pleasant, I should say, as cold press when it comes to using watercolors or ink washes. It just does not handle the wet medium in such a pleasant way, and it's a little bit more of a struggle, and there's more frustrations to it, and it just doesn't have that quality that painting on watercolor paper with watercolors, it just kind of lacks something where it feels like it takes me out of the moment a little bit more, where I have to be a little bit more attentive to just really controlling it and letting things go when I can't control it anymore. So it was a nice little treat to get to work on some cold press paper. It just allows the pigments to grip to the paper so much easier, so it's much easier to get more consistent washes, and it just feels really satisfying to paint on cold press. I love working on cold press, but it's a little bit more of an issue with the line work where it can take longer. It also chews up the nibs quite a bit. It just eats them up. I went through actually one pen that was still like in really pretty good shape, and it just ate it up, so I had to switch to a different pen. But anyways, that was the first treat that made it really nice. It was really nice to work on the background in that way. I also wanted to focus on something that I've been trying to be more aware of with my watercolors, and that's building colors and saturation through more layers. I love glazing. It's one of my favorite things about watercolors, but really when it comes down to it, I jump really quickly through steps that could be broken up into more glazing options. And the benefit of doing lighter washes that build up and become darker, richer colors is that it allows you to get that luminosity to it that watercolors are known for, and it just becomes a much more dynamic and rich piece that looks really beautiful, and I love that. And it also allows for a lot more control if you're doing it correctly, which I can't say that I've really done so far, but if you do it correctly, you can get a lot more control over the building up of values and shadows and light areas. So that is definitely something that I tried to be aware of as I worked on this piece, but it also makes me realize that I need to do some very dedicated studying to figuring that out a little bit better, especially with skin, where I do want to be able to approach that kind of subject matter in a much more delicate and controlled way, so I know what's going to happen, and I'm building it up so that it becomes something that's much more interesting and enriched. And building up more layers definitely helps darker colors. I've found, I think, with watercolors, it helps them be a little bit more rich looking rather than thick and muddy almost. With this, with his cape and the cloak of the background character, I think it looks really good when it's not in this really direct studio lighting, which I thought was kind of interesting because as I'm looking at the recording and as I was working on it, I could see through the layers in a less pleasant way. But then when I pulled it away into like normal room lighting, it looks much richer and it has that dimension to it, and it still looks dark and impactful. So I don't know, it's kind of interesting, but I am happy with at least the fact that I'm building up values and colors with more punch to them, I guess. Where I have been really noticing that I'm cutting the glazing process a little bit short, where maybe in the past I might have done 2, maybe 3, but usually I think 3 layers is kind of the max to get the end result. But really, if I do a couple more, it can become a lot more. And most of the time that I was working on this piece, I felt like there was just something not quite right, but I couldn't put my finger on it. I couldn't figure out what it was until I took a little time away and then I came back to it, which usually helps. Then I realized that it was because I was looking at it at where it was currently at and not where it would be, specifically about the moon behind the characters. So I preserved the white of the paper for that so that I could very clearly see where it needed to be, and I could make sure that it's as accurate and crisp in every step of the way as possible. But it's not going to remain stark white. It's going to be this nice muted gold of the gold leaf that I have. So when I look at it, it has this hierarchy to it so that the eye goes to it as you're looking at the piece, and it distracts from the areas that I want to actually be the focal point. And I didn't really realize, but I think that that's really what was the thing that was making it feel unsettled and not quite right. So that was kind of a nice revelation to realize that that was the point, that needed fixed, but also that there were things that I could do to help tie everything together and connect the dots, I guess you could say, between the moon and the other aspects of it so that everything wasn't quite so separated out. That was another issue that I realized was happening, is that it just needed some details to bring it all together. It needs some gold details in the rest of the piece. It needs some more, in my opinion, little hair strands for the front character with her white hair so that there's just a little bit more detailing up front, and some little dots and extras in the piece that just transcends, I think, the layered effect that it has going on right now. So that was helpful to be able to take a little bit of time away and figure out what it was that was not quite right. That way I could have a plan for it and fix it and do it and know that it would get fixed. Like with the moon, that's going to be the final step that I do for this piece. So I didn't want to address it in any other way. I just wanted to let it be, and I would accept that it would just feel like it wasn't quite right. And that is just very empowering to be able to understand the end result for your pieces. That's happened to me so many times where a piece just doesn't feel right and I can't quite figure out what it is, and really it's because there's certain areas that haven't been fixed yet or done yet. So being able to figure those out and make a mental note of it, so whenever I'm just feeling that feeling that it's not right, I can always remind myself that I know why that is and know how to fix it. And don't forget to check out the Kickstarter for my art book for Inktober called Nocturne. I'll have the link right at the top of the description so you can go check that out. I am really excited about this book and being able to ship it out to all of those who have already supported it. So thank you guys so much for that. But yeah, the link is there. So if you want to go check it out and pledge in the last couple of days, because it's ending on Wednesday at the end. I think it's 11:59 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. But yeah, just the last couple of days for that. I also have a special enamel pin for that and the special print from today and some other goodies. So yeah, I'm excited. But that's it for today. So I will be back next week with another video. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you then.